So let me introduce you to Clifford Gross, Ph.D. It's a pleasure to welcome Cliff back. He's the CEO of AIM-listed intellectual property investment group Tekcapital. The most significant news from Tech is the flotation of Lucid Eyewear on Nasdaq, which was very brave and well done, despite the unfavorable choppy markets which Clifford referenced to us the last time he spoke to us. Lucid is the second of the 4 portfolio companies to list, and the current Tekcapital market cap is £36 million. It's had a year high of 37p. The low was 18.75p. And so the question we're all asking is, what comes next? Here's Cliff, live from Miami, to answer that and all your other questions.
Well, good evening, Donald. I hope you're keeping well.
I'm very well, thank you. And you too, Cliff? How's Miami?
Better than average. It's the normal balmy weather here. It's basically the same every day. But that being said, you have to be grateful for what you have, and we're really thrilled with the progress that we've been making at Tekcapital. For those who are new to the company, our overarching mission is to create valuable companies using university discoveries. And these companies, in our goal, is to do 2 things. One is to make a positive impact on the lives of the customers that the companies serve. And the second is to produce a good return on invested capital for our shareholders. So that is the overarching theme. Now I'll move on to a little bit granular approach to what we do. We basically source innovative discoveries from our university network, and we build portfolio companies around these discoveries. And we add to those portfolio companies star power management that has built successful companies in the past, often of quite substantial size. And we think this helps de-risk, obviously, the technologies and their entry into the marketplace. We also provide services to more than 250 universities and some very large corporations around the world to help them analyze their intellectual properties. And finally, we have a multi-year track record of achieving our most important KPI, which is the growth of our net assets. For the first half of 2022, we reached a record in terms of our net assets of just shy of $77 million and an NAV per share, which was also a record of 51 cents. Our revenue for the first half was $8 million, and our profit after tax was $6.7 million. More to the point is the historical growth of our net assets. In 2018, we started building these portfolio companies. And so you could see over the preceding 5-year period, our KPI of net assets truly has been a winner for us in terms of delivering value for our shareholders. Just a word on where a lot of our discoveries come from, and that is the world's university idea factory. And these are university laboratories spread out over 160 countries that are developing technologies and making them available for technology transfer, whereby companies can acquire the exclusive rights to these technologies for commercialization. We think our network is the largest university tech transfer network in the world. It's electronic, so it's pretty low cost to maintain once having built it. So from this network and our team, we've built 4 portfolio companies that my grandmother would say are not chopped liver. I mean, they each have a remarkable, capable team members, proprietary intellectual property, and they each address large existing markets greater than $1 billion. So they are in different areas, however. BELLESCURA is a medical device company focused on pulmonary function devices. Lucid is a smart eyewear company. Guidant is a software company for improving the safety of autonomous vehicles, and Microsalt is a food tech company which makes very small sodium chloride crystals to reduce the sodium consumption in a wide variety of foods. So whilst in different areas, they do have sort of a common denominator, and that is they can improve the quality of life of the customers they serve if they're successful. And if they're successful, they can make a market increase in our return on invested capital for our own shareholders. And by the way, all of these companies were started by Tekcapital from a clean piece of paper. They weren't investments in existing companies, but rather they were really born out of what we saw as opportunities and needs in the global market. Our first company was BELLESCURA, which has done a wonderful job in developing a portable oxygen concentrator that's lighter, quieter, and modular, which helps many people who are afflicted with COPD. The COPD is the third leading cause of death in the world. About 3.25 million people die from it each year. Over 300 million people are afflicted with it. And many of those individuals who have it need supplemental oxygen to enable them to perform activities of daily living. Portable oxygen concentrators are the technique of choice for providing the supplemental oxygen because they allow you to move about. You can take a scheduled airline, you could engage in physical activities outside of the home, whereas when you're lugging around a canister of oxygen, it's very difficult to do those things. And what's unique about BELLESCURA's product is that it has this modularity, so as your disease progresses, instead of having to buy a larger portable oxygen concentrator, you could press a button, pop out the cartridge, and put in a higher capacity filter cartridge, which will enable a greater flow rate for the needs of that patient. Overall, what that does is it reduces the cost of portable oxygen concentrators over the lifetime of the patient. And what that does is it makes portable oxygen concentrators available to more people. So it's a remarkable goal that the company has. They've built a world-class device in our view. It's patented. They got FDA clearance, the first modular cleared portable oxygen concentrator by the US FDA, and they're building and supplying these devices to people in the United States. So they've really done a yeoman's job of achieving their mission that they set out to do. And they also floated the company a little over a year ago, and the stock has done very well. It's basically doubled since the inaugural listing. And so we're very pleased with the progress that BELLESCURA has made. And we believe, because the market is so large, can reach as much as $5 billion over the next 3 years. We think that BELLESCURA could earn a piece of that market if they continue to execute on their plan. So we're very excited about the future of BELLESCURA. Lucid is in the business of making smart eyewear. These are glasses that correct your vision or protect your eyes from sunlight, but also allow you to remain connected to your digital life. So you can take and make calls, listen to music, talk to Siri, Google Voice, Alexa, Bixby, or any other digital assistant. You could call an Uber, you could send cash through a cash app, you could listen and respond to social media, all through your glasses. And Lucid has an operating business which is based in the US called Innovative Eyewear. And that business is making and selling all of Lucid's products worldwide. And it recently filed an S1 with the Securities and Exchange Commission and began trading on the Nasdaq about 2 weeks ago. And this past Friday, they had the distinct honor to ring the closing bell of the Nasdaq Stock Exchange in Times Square. And here you could see the Lucid team, or actually more properly, the Innovative Eyewear team in Times Square at Nasdaq headquarters. So we're quite thrilled. We own 71% of the company. That's post-flotation, which is quite a healthy stake to own in a Nasdaq company. And the company has the resources now as a result of their initial public offering, which was fully subscribed, to execute its model. And we're very excited about the potential of Innovative Eyewear for really making a dent in the eyewear business. The eyewear business is very large, and it's also very stodgy, and it's ripe. It's ripe for disruption. And in the United States, it's approximately $28 billion a year. So the company has a goal to try to earn 1% of that over the next couple of years, which would make Innovative Eyewear a very substantial company indeed. Additionally, a third company in our portfolio is Guidant. Guidant makes software for improving the safety of autonomous vehicles. Now, everybody knows that the entire global fleet of vehicles is becoming electrified. And in many states and several countries, there are requirements now if you want to sell vehicles in 2030 or 20 or even sooner, that they have to be electric. And so all of these electric vehicles, when they grow up, they want to become autonomous because it's inherently safer, it's more enjoyable, and it enables, it's more sort of democratic, is that it enables people to use transportation systems without having the need to be able to operate the vehicles themselves. Additionally, it reduces the cost of delivering goods on a global basis, whether they're goods from a factory to a wholesale distribution center or from a supermarket to a person's home. The 24/7 contactless delivery of all sorts of products is underway, and autonomous delivery devices are the way that those products will get to the users. Now, although many people are enthralled with the idea of autonomous delivery and autonomous vehicles, there will still be accidents, and these accidents will be even trickier than traditional accidents in the sense that in many cases, in fact, most cases, there won't be a driver present to resolve the accident. So even a small accident could escalate to a very serious situation. So as a result, we believed, as part of our investment thesis in developing this company, that it was necessary on a global basis to have a remote monitoring and control facility in place to oversee these autonomous vehicles and autonomous delivery devices, much as you would have for air traffic control for the aircraft fleet. And this was way before it was ever promulgated. But lo and behold, it was promulgated. The first was the state of Florida, where Guidant is based in Boca Raton. 2 years ago, Governor Ron DeSantis passed a law requiring, first of all, legalizing autonomous vehicles everywhere in the state of Florida, and secondly, requiring those that did not have safety drivers to be able to hook up telemetrically to a remote monitoring and control center to take over the vehicle, call a first responder, or do what is necessary to help resolve a mishap that might occur. Since Florida initiated that very forward-looking legal structure, 7 other states in the US have followed suit, and so has Germany, and a number of other countries are considering doing just the same thing, including the United Kingdom. So we think remote monitoring and control of autonomous vehicles and delivery devices will be a standard infrastructure item in just about every territory in the world that autonomous vehicles operate in. Guidant has built a successful remote monitoring and control center, the first one in the state of Florida, and they're expanding it now in Boca Raton at the Brick Center, which was the old IBM R&D Center, which is a remarkable building for this type of facility because it was designed, the building was designed to withstand a Class 5 hurricane and has its own power generation. So it's truly amenable to 24/7 monitoring operations. And Guidant has acquired a number of technologies and has developed a number of technologies. They currently have 8 patents that cover remote monitoring and control and some related technologies. And they have demonstrated not only that they have a remote monitoring and control system that works, but it has amongst the lowest latency of any system known commercially, which is it's under 35 milliseconds. And that's the time it takes for a signal to go from the vehicle to the remote monitoring and control center. Time latency is important, the less the better, obviously, especially if you're controlling a vehicle, so that basically what you see is what you get on the monitor when you're steering and taking over control of the vehicle. In addition to the remote monitoring and control system technology, which they're going to be offering as a software service, they also have another technology, which is regenerative shock absorbers. Currently, all electric vehicles have regenerative braking to take the heat energy generated from the braking, which is wasted normally in most vehicles, and capture it and put it back into the generating power for the recharging the battery. None of the commercial vehicles have regenerative shock absorbers. And we acquired a very interesting technology from the State University of New York for Guidant, and they've productized it, they've tested it, and they're continuing to test it, and it's looking quite good. And several large vehicle companies are quite interested in testing this technology for potential incorporation in their electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles in the future. And last, but by no means least, the fourth company in our portfolio is Microsalt. Microsalt has the difficult goal of trying to make a dent in cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 cause of premature death in the world. 17.9 million people each year die prematurely of cardiovascular disease. The biggest insult to developing cardiovascular disease physiologically is hypertension. And the largest potential contributor to hypertension is excess sodium consumption. In the United States, the average person consumes approximately 3,400 milligrams of sodium a day, which is a little over a teaspoon. And the US FDA and the American Heart Association both reckon that if that can be reduced to 2,300 milligrams a day, it'll save upwards of 50,000 lives a year in the US. The problem is that people like to consume salty food and salty snacks. And manufacturers like to manufacture these products because they're widely consumed and because the salt also acts as a preservative. So it's been difficult to find a substitute that tastes as good as salt. And manufacturers have tried, and there are certain salt substitutes out there. The most commonly used one is potassium chloride, which when you use it to replace sodium chloride is very effective at reducing your sodium consumption. Where it's not so good is due to the fact that where it resides on the periodic table, it has a metallic flavor. And so it doesn't quite taste as flavorful as sodium chloride. Even so, potassium chloride is currently a $1.5 billion a year business as a salt substitute. Microsalt owns the patented process for producing the first full flavor, all natural, non-GMO, kosher sodium chloride, but on a crystal size that's 100 times smaller than table salt, several microns in diameter. And the benefit of these small crystals is they dissolve super quickly on the tongue, and they produce an overarching sense of saltiness in the brain. Basically, they taste saltier than they actually are because of the rapid dissolution. As a result, you can make snacks and other foods with 50% or more reduction in sodium, with all the flavor of salt that people enjoy. As proof of concept, Microsalt started to produce some potato chips or crisps with the Microsalt under the Salt Me brand, which is a house brand that Microsalt owns. And it was really just done to be able to demonstrate to B2B customers, prospects, how good the Microsalt tasted on a salty snack. So it was proof of concept. But the proof of concept got a bit out of hand. People loved the product. They started buying it on Amazon. And the largest supermarket chain, Kroger in the US, has put it in many of their stores. And right now, from 0 stores selling products that have microsalt on them 18 months ago, microsalt salt meat crisps can be purchased in over 3,000 locations in the United States right now, which is remarkable progress. Additionally, Microsalt will be introducing salt shakers with the Microsalt later on this fall, and there's big demand for this. And one of the largest food distributors in the United States, Unify, has agreed to come on board and distribute the product. So we're very excited about the future of Microsalt, not only enabling other companies to make better for you snacks, but also in selling salt, both wholesale and retail, that's better for the consumer.
Okay. 1 or 2 minutes, please, Cliff.
Sure. So just in summary, Tekcapital commercializes discoveries primarily from its university network that it believes can improve the quality of life of its customers. We've built 4 high-value portfolio companies, all of which are in billion-dollar markets and all of which, in our view, have very significant potential near-term growth prospects. And most importantly, we have a proven track record of delivering returns on invested capital while producing needed products for the global market. Now I'll be delighted to take any questions you may have.
Fantastic. Cliff, it's a real pleasure to have you back. Let's start with that. Thank you indeed. You're speaking to us from Florida today. You ended on Salarius and Salt Me and the incredible success of it. Victor Marshall says, well, why wait for a year to IPO Salarius when they appear to be making huge progress and the interest in the stock would likely be huge? So there you go, Victor Marshall.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing a listing within the next 12 months very seriously. We think it's appropriate to achieve its growth trajectory. And we're considering starting the process of interviewing potential nomads later on this autumn. But first, we have a couple of milestones we would like to achieve, or at least see them achieve, because they're working on some very large projects right now, which are very exciting to us, which would have a positive impact on the valuation of the enterprise.
Okay, and that's commercially sensitive, presumably, so there's a limit to how much you can talk around that.
Right, I've said all I could say.
You've said what you can say. Let me move on to Pete Higgins, who's a shareholder, and he says the FDA has given guidance for reducing sodium content in processed foods across America over the next 10 years. You'll be very familiar with this. So how is Microsalt Incorporated planning to attack the global sodium reduction ingredients market that is expected to reach US $1.62 billion by 2024?
Yeah, the key is to work out agreements with the largest food manufacturers, and because they consume the majority of the edible salt, and they put it into their snack foods and other foods. So Microsalt, I say we, the royal we, but it's actually Microsalt, not Tekcapital. Microsalt's management team, which is really quite capable, it's headed up by Rick Gooney, who's run a snacks business for over 30 years, which was an Inc. 500 company twice. They are in discussions with a number of Fortune 500 food companies for the incorporation of Microsalt into their snack foods. And upon the consummation of one or more of those transactions, it would really jettison the Microsalt business to an entirely different level. And what's also nice about the B2B salt business is the high recurring revenue. Once a large company starts utilizing your salt as the condiment of choice, the recurring revenue is extraordinarily high. And really, our product, Microsalt's product, allows food companies to make better for you products, which are on trend right now for the entire food industry.
Okay. And on behalf of Steve Rake, I ask, who and what do you see as the main competitors for Microsalt?
The main competitors for Microsalt are the manufacturers of potassium chloride, who are selling potassium chloride as a viable substitute for sodium chloride. And that's good news because Microsalt tastes much better than potassium chloride. So we think it's not only a better low sodium salt, we think it's a better salt, full stop.
Okay, and Sarah Kimberly says, any advance in the Fortune 500 companies interested in Microsalt? I believe you've been telling us about it for some time. So 2 people have asked that same question.
Yeah, it's we're making progress, but the ultimate progress would be in the form of an RNS, where we announced that a major company has engaged Microsalt to provide X million pounds of salt per year for a particular food product line. That has not occurred yet, but it's our great hope that that will occur in the near future.
Okay. What's next for Innovative Eyewear? You mentioned them first in your presentation. Did a fantastic job on IPOing them on Nasdaq, which you were telling me off camera how genuinely thrilled you were by that. What's next for them?
Yeah, Innovative Eyewear has announced in their S1, which is their registration document, which is the only data I could speak with, that they have a very aggressive plan for new product development this year. They plan to introduce many new style glasses. They've already introduced 4 new styles about 2 weeks ago. They plan to introduce a cordless charging dock, and that was introduced about a week and a half ago as well. It's the first cordless charging dock for smart eyewear. They also plan towards the latter part of the year to introduce the first Bluetooth safety glasses. Those are safety glasses that could be worn in a manufacturing environment, which have polycarbonate side shields, but also are Bluetooth enabled, so you could use them hands-free, which is very important in a working environment of that type. And they have numerous other technologies that they plan to introduce throughout the course of the year. Right now, they offer the most styles of any smart eyewear company in the world. They now have 16 different styles smart glasses available in 56 different lens types in any prescription, which is, quite a remarkable achievement. Additionally, they're seeking to penetrate more retail optical stores. A year ago, they had 0 optical stores, and now they're upwards of 200 optical stores carrying the product. And so while that sounds like good progress, it's not anywhere near what they're hoping to achieve in the future. And so they're seeking to add sales and marketing personnel to better penetrate the market and increase their marketplace traction in specialty optical and also in big box and specialty retail in general.
Okay,
so
let me just stop you there and ask you one really excellent strategic question from Keith
Sure.
Adams. This is a cracker. I've held it up until last. Final question.
Sure.
Are you looking to either replace the 2 companies which you've floated, or is the strategy to float or sell Guidant and Microsalt, realize gains from all 4, distribute profits, and shut up shop? That comes from Keith Adams.
Yeah. No, one thing we have, it's a good question. One thing we have proven over the last 5 years is that our approach is working. And I don't think that's an overstatement or irrational exuberance. We have 4 companies and 2 of them floated. And the typical time to flotation from formation, according to the American Venture Capital Association, is 7 to 10 years. So we're doing it at roughly half the time that it normally takes. So it works. And so we reckon we'd like to continue it working. But we also reckon that it's the best use of our assets and our manpower to shepherd the companies that we have until they are in what we view as a safe harbor and a good launching pad to achieve the growth potential that they all have. So we're focused keenly on helping Microsalt become a listed company, and also helping Guidant go to its next level, which may not be listed, it might be an acquisition. We'll have to wait and see. Guidant is actually going great guns as well. They signed their first commercial customer, which is the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, which has hired them under a competitive contract to provide remote monitoring and control services. And they're anxious to sign up additional customers. So the game is afoot for both Guidant and Microsoft, and we want to help them maintain the pole position so they can, make a dent in their respective markets.
Clifford, that was a fantastic last answer. Thank you so much. It's sparked about 3 or 4 different questions in my mind, no doubt in everybody else's minds. Thank you so much for joining us from Florida.